Cornish hens. These things are going to be so tasty. So we're going to shut the lid. That smoke is about to start rolling.
I find it fascinating to collect old hunting and fishing memorabilia. Here we have some old bait boxes. Welcome to A Sportsman's Life. We're so glad you tuned in to join us for another exciting real-world outdoor adventure right here on A Sportsman's Life. Hi folks, thanks for joining me on this segment on the Sportsman's Life. Of course, as you saw, we were out in the blind, took our gearhead archery bow, and thought we'd try to see if we can get on a whitetail this morning. Didn't happen. Saw some pretty nice deer out, all in all, but not something we wanted to harvest. But again, it's just this time of year, it's so fun to sit out there and just relax in a blind and kind of daydream and watch all the animals around you and get out there and do that kind of stuff, folks. So we'll be back here on A Sportsman's Life.
Brought to you by Dallas Safari Club, Conservation, Education, and Hunter Advocacy. Hornaday, accurate, deadly, dependable. Taurus Firearms, maker of the Raging Hunter. Trigicon, brilliant aiming solutions.
This is our smoke box here on the Smoking Tex, and I've got it loaded up liberally with some hickory nuts that I picked under the hickory trees here on our place. So let's pop these into Smoking Tex, and I've already got the meat in there. I'll give you a look at that, and we'll just let that thing go for about 5 hours and check it and see how everything's coming along. Then I'll show you a picture of the finished product. How about that? Okay, my friends, we have got our Smoking Tex. Here's the unit. This is the 1460. It's out here in my little cooking shack. But here's these little Cornish hens. I'll tell you what, let's look at our barbecue. Got a little barbecue sauce on these pork pieces of wild pork shoulder, and we've got these little Cornish hens. These things are going to be so tasty. So we're going to shut the lid. That smoke is about to start rolling. I've got the firebox down here loaded up with that hickory nuts. So let's just kind of relax and let our old Smoking Tex do what it does so well, and that's smoke some good meats. Well, friends, we have all that barbecue ready, but I thought you might want to take a look at my camp here. Some of the antlers, none of them giants, just a bunch of good memories here. This is my cabin right here. Here's the buck, or the antlers of the buck that I took on the Dale River Ranch recently. That's a nice deer. Just some horns that bring back great memories through the years. But I want to show you this barbecue next. Let's walk over here and let's take a look. Okay, you remember the pulled or the pork pieces, the pork shoulder. Here's a good look at this. In a bit, I'm going to plate this and we're going to show you how tender it is. Little Cornish head, I cooked a couple of those. And right here, we've covered this in the past. It's just a can. It started out as a can of baked beans, cheap ones too, from the dollar store. I added garlic and onion and jalapeno and just cooked it real slow for a while. That's some of the best beans you've ever eaten. But we're going to plate this up, and I want to show you how tender this actually just chunked up wild pork shoulders, what it is, and a great barbecue sauce on it. So let's plate it up and take a look at it. What do you say? Okay, folks, this pork is really tender. I'm going to tell you, this puts the icing on the cake. I love good barbecue sauce. Best of Texas barbecue sauce on top of all this. Actually, it was cooked in this overnight at 200 degrees for a long time, this pork. But let's take a look at this pork. I want to show you how tender it is. Check this out. Look at this. Now, do you think that would make a good camp meal, folks? Very tender. It's what I call fall off the bone tender. Here's a piece. Look at that. So that's a meal. That's what Mr. Jeff Rice and I are going to have while we're deer hunting, folks. These beans with onions, jalapenos, and fresh garlic cooked in. Very good. And this little, I'm not going to mess this up. I want to eat this piece by piece, this little Cornish hen. There you go, folks. Cooking outdoors does not have to be a tough task. It's really pretty easy. Hope you enjoyed today's little cooking segment. Now it's time for old Luke to get a hold of some of this good barbecue. A Sportsman's Life is also made possible by Air Force Air Guns, AGM Global Vision, H3 Whitetail Solutions, and Pyramid Air.
Hello sports fans, Bill Carey with Striper Express. We've got your weekly fishing trip for a sportsman's life. This week we're going to talk about fishing the birds. The birds is what we call them, but truly there are thousands and thousands of seagulls that migrate to Lake Texoma every fall, and they have arrived. Man, is it good. We're going to talk about it. Take a look at this first. You see what I mean? These birds squawk, bite each other. I joke that these birds are better than these $2,000 fish finders we got. So, whatever you do, it's time to get a hook in the water at Lake Texoma. That's why it's called legendary fall fishing. Come see us, Bill Carey, for A Sportsman's Life. Catch a fish.
Conservation Today is brought to you by Hayden Outdoors Real Estate, the brand that sells the land. Visit HaydenOutdoors.com to find or sell your farm, ranch, or recreational property. One of the things you want to consider in bringing wildlife into your property is planting the appropriate trees. Here we have a persimmon tree that bears fruit every year. Deer will travel for miles to come to a persimmon tree, as well as hogs and other wildlife. Most persimmon trees require little pruning, especially once they're bearing fruit. Pruning is usually restricted to controlling the tree size or removing dead or diseased or damaged branches. Prune any suckers that may develop. It's not recommended that you fertilize the trees at the time of planting or when they're young. Excessive fertilizing may cause premature fruit to drop. Newly planted trees should be watered regularly, and this is the most critical step in the establishment of your new tree. Here I've taken some seeds and planted them in some small starter pots to get the trees going. Once these trees are 6 or 8 inches tall, we'll transfer these out to the field. That's your Hayden Outdoor Real Estate tip of the week here on A Sportsman's Life.
Mule deer have big ears. Generally, they're going to be anywhere from about 9 to 11 inches. This area right here to here should be about 8 or 9 inches from the beginning of the ear to the tip of the ear. When he's looking straight at you, one of the things you want to do is, before you hunt a particular area, talk to some of the people that are familiar with the deer there, because they could have a forward ear tip spread of anywhere from 18 inches to as much as 22, 23, 24. When you're judging mass, one of the things that you can do is the mule deer eye is about 4 inches in circumference, and it's about 1 inch across in terms of diameter. So you can use that in terms of a comparison to a mass measurement. Most mule deer, from the tip of their nose, as you can see right here, the tip of their nose to the inside of the eye, is probably about 8 inches. So you can use that 8 inches in terms of judging the length of the main beam, the length of the tines as well too. Big mule deer are hard to come by. This one happens to be off the Hartgrove Ranch here in Kent County, Texas. Absolutely a beautiful deer. They get bigger, absolutely, they get bigger here on the ranch as well too. But that'll give you some ideas as to how to field judge a deer if you've got a chance to look at him for any length of time.
I find it fascinating to collect old hunting and fishing memorabilia. Here we have some old bait boxes I want to share with you today. Kind of fun to collect. This first one is well over 100 years old, carved out of old piece of oak, and has a tin top to it. And obviously there was someone that carried night crawlers likely to the stream or lake to fish with. I've collected several old bait boxes, some metal, some wood, some used for grasshoppers and bugs, others used for worms and night crawlers. Absolutely fun to collect. Thought I would share with you today a little video of some of the bait boxes that I've collected over time.
Folks, thanks so much for joining us. This segment of our show is brought to us by Gearhead Archery, Snaplock Hunting Blinds, Smoking Texas Electric Smokers, TRHP Outdoors, Ultramatic Feeders, and Catfish Pro Catfish Bait and Catfishing Supplies. Make sure and tune in next week. We'll have another exciting show ready to go for you.